Hello, friends, and welcome to an unexpected podcast. I'm Ez.
And I'm Lane.
And we're talking Tolkien.
Talking Tolkien. I thought you were going to say smoking.
Hey,
Tolkien.
We haven't mentioned in a while, so we're coming from the North Farthing.
Yeah, boy.
Right? We're coming from the North Farthing, and we're also coming from the Shire, right? The Shire of America, Amanda. So, friends, we're in two places at once.
Yes.
Think about that.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, you guys are listening, and you're listening to it's wild.
We've got the tour feed and we've got the touring feed. You know what I'm saying? A little summer school tease.
Oh, hello,
yeah,
baby.
boy.
Let's go. Yeah, we just got off a really awesome episode that I super enjoyed.
Yeah.
So that's fun, and I can't wait to get that up there for you guys. And I'm having a blast. I think I'm having a blast making content ahead of time.
Yeah,
that graphic I made, dude. What is it?
It's beautiful.
How long did you spend on making just Elven characters and with AI art and stuff? I went crazy. I was like, okay, this one has black hair and blue eyes. This one wears a red coat. This one, kind of went through, and I was so stoked. They came out so good.
The colors were great. The way you kind of grouped them and then color coded, because I was like, okay, these guys are all. That's the biggest thing with elves is I'm like, who's together? Who's getting together? Along?
Right.
What are they from the same strand? What's happening?
Exactly.
They're so complicated that, and again, they've never been my priority. I don't go in reading Tolkien going, I'm gonna get sweaty with some elves. I'm ready for it, honey. I'm ready. No, it's like, stay away from them. They scare me.
Right. Well, dude,
I don't feel the allure. Yeah.
I think at one point you said, and I'm still trying to learn how to, because there's not a lot of people that pronounce their names, and I'm like, I need to get the Andy Serkis version of the Silmarillion.
Oh yes, bro,
and get that audio, because I think he probably, because what I'm hearing from the old Shaw, it was Martin Shaw. What's his name?
Yeah. He was drunk half the time.
I don't know.
He was drunk half the time.
People get on me because I say Iluvatar and it's Iluvatar, and I'm like,
right.
Guys, let me tell you, after listening to it probably 20 to 30 times through, just him set the beginning chapters, I'm like, that's just how he says it. So
I don't even want to know how he pronounces Anile.
I don't either. I don't
want to even get there.
Oh my God.
I bet it's not appropriate.
I was going to make a joke in the last episode. So not about that.
The rear guard? The rear guard?
The rear guard, okay? Holy smokes.
Anile was in the rear guard.
But along that same line of thought with pronunciations, by the way, we have a topic today that is very, very easy for you guys. You're going to love it. It's you probably saw it in the title. We're going to get to it here momentarily. But the joke was I actually did pretty well with the pronunciations, I thought, in the recordings. Kind of okay.
Oh, you did. You did great.
But the one that throws me is the Niraneath Arnoidiad.
Yeah, bro.
Dude, my God.
The Battle of Tears, a bunch of tears.
The Battle of Unnumbered Tears. And I was sitting there going my joke was in the recording, I was going to leave it in. I was saying the Niraneath Arnoidiad. And it was just this, all these different things. It just kept going. And it was it's a word that feels like it doesn't end. There's so many vowels in there that I was like, what the actual heck? How do you say this?
Niraneath got a lot of tears up in there crying. He got little tissues. Wipe your eyes.
Oh, God.
Super sad.
And then there's one of the brothers. Let me see if I still have it up here. Yeah. His name is spelled Caranthir. Caranthir or Caranthir?
Caranthir?
Right?
Yeah.
Caranthir?
I don't know.
And I'm just dude, that does not roll. Even Madros, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I can't roll that R you should be rolling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Kelagorm, got it. Maglor, got it. So
when you were reading all those names, I had this idea. I'll probably do it before bed tonight, which I just
probably shouldn't, but you will.
Come out that way. I didn't mean it to come out that way, but I was having in my mind all of these cheesy, dumb dad joke puns for all of their names.
Oh.
I'm just gonna post pictures of things and see if people can guess what character. So for Finn Golfin, I'm gonna do Greg Norman because he was the shark. The South African guy or Australian guy, his logo was a shark.
Oh,
and he's a golfer.
Yes.
Finn Golfin.
Oh my gosh!
I'm just gonna put him up there, almost like I shouldn't have said that. We could almost make it a guessing game and see.
Well,
who can
if you do it before this comes
guess
out,
what
which will be like next week, you're good.
That's true.
Yeah, because
I'm
you're
gonna do it
right. I used to have the golf
dude.
ball with like the rainbow shark and like Greg Norman.
Yeah,
he
bro.
was great. I loved him.
He was
Wasn't
awesome.
he an Aussie?
Was he? He was Australian. Yeah, not
New
South
Zealand?
African.
Okay.
South African was oh god.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ernie Els. Ernie Els was South African. I'm pretty sure.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because he would look like this, like he was. Well, that was not a South African. Cut that.
No, hey, we're having some beverages because hey, we're about to talk about something really interesting today. And here it is. I'm gonna go ahead and read what probably is the title of this episode. Is the hunt for Gollum a cash grab?
Oh gosh, dude, these are like. This reminds me of the old days. Boromir, Bad Boy, or Misunderstood. This is like I love when we do. Okay, this is not meant to sound like this is gonna sound like offensive, but it's not. I love when we do clickbaity stuff. I love when we're like,
it's fun.
Oh yeah, I do too. Like I love it. I love it. Is it a cash grab? Okay, I've been wanting to talk kind of. So again, we approach all these things as with an air of optimism. We want to give the benefit of the doubt, just because. I think it looks terrible, and I hate when people bash stuff before it even comes out. I really do.
Same.
But unless they pull this thing off in one of the ways that you have pitched, yes, it's a cash grab. Yes, it's a cash grab. And again, when we read things like what we just read, when we read things like what we're going to read next, I understand there may be hurdles to get over to attain some of these rights, but if Rings of Power can get the rights to half the stuff they have the rights to, I know Peter Jackson can go out there and get the rights to legends that if he spent an eighth of his talent on tour and just his coming to Gondolin, which could be like literally that could be part one.
Yeah.
It would be so much more interesting and fresh and new and fascinating. Then we're going to have Gollum again, Andy Serkis back as Gollum. We're going to, for the next, until Ian McKellen dies or this movie starts, we're going to be thinking, is it going to be him? Are they going to recast? If they recast, how weird is that going to be? The same thing with Viggo. Viggo Mortensen's not coming back, guys. I will tell you right now. There's no way Viggo Mortensen is coming back as Aragorn, because I guarantee the way they pitch it is going to have to use AI or de-aging stuff, and look at the man's track record. He doesn't do that kind of stuff. Like if it's not about the story, he's not about it. They offered him to come back for The Hobbit, and Viggo Mortensen said to the team, he said, "Is Aragorn in the Hobbit books?" And they're like, "Well, no." And he said, "Well, then I don't think he should be in the movies." And they go, "Okay, yeah, fair enough." I don't see it happening. I mean, it could.
So, for sure. Okay, let's.
If he does, I think it's a cameo, and I think it's in one of the ways that you explained, and I think maybe they're listening. Who knows?
I really hope they are listening. So again, this like you said, it sounds kind of clickbaity, but the reason I brought this up is I was stunned when I went and listened to a couple of different other content creators that end in .com and .net. I was shocked. I was actually shocked that they were calling this. They were just flat out. They're calling it a cash grab. Straight up, they were saying it's a cash grab.
Well, that doesn't make me feel good about what I just said.
No.
Aligned with them. Oh, God.
Well, that's what I thought was interesting. Actually, what's interesting is there's a difference between the .com and the .net. Totally different group of people. There is. Yes, there is. I didn't realize that they're actually, one is 3 years old, one is like 12 years old.
.net is the original. They're like the guys.
Yeah, .net's the original.
I wonder, have they not been getting the inside treatment? Because every time they get the inside treatment, they love whatever they're witnessing. They're very like, I don't. Those guys are. I'm not a big fan. I used to love them. Like back when the films came out, I remember they were huge, and you would go there for actual news. They had spies, and it just turned into this like unofficial like mouthpiece for the fandom, but whatever.
Right, and they're not really, and that's the thing. No. So I didn't track down whether .net felt this way about this. I was sort of shocked when I listened to .com, and they very much do not like the Rings of Power. So you could see all over their page. They absolutely hate the Rings of Power. So I was like, well, they kind of get them there. And I wondered, I've not investigated them enough to really know anything about them, but it just made me ask this question. Wait a second. why do people, those are pretty diehard fans, like what they think this is a cash grab? And I started thinking about it, I'm like, well, is it? Because Ez likes to be optimistic and positive and think it's not.
What do you think? I want to know what you think.
I like to think Andy Serkis is coming in here to, like he wants to, I'm thinking like he wants to direct, do something, but then I'm like, this is his character,
Right.
This is Gollum. He is bringing Peter Jackson, and it is a story that is unfinished, by the way.
See?
So I will say, as I was like, the crazy thing is this hunt for Gollum. I heard this individual's a podcast I listened to. I'm so sorry, I don't know his name or anything. I just found these guys literally 2 days ago.
Huge shout out to you guys.
Yeah, huge shout out to .com.
Huge shout out.
By the way, it's I think it's the One Ring .com, by the way. So these guys aren't. Just go ahead. That's what we're talking. We've been talking in code, but I try not to,
Whoever you are, shout out to you guys.
Whoever. But I feel like they said something to the effect of one of the fellas on there was saying like there's nothing to this hunt for Gollum. It's just a couple of pages and there's nothing to it or whatever.
You've shown that's not true.
And I thought wait a second, that is definitely not true. It spans quite a bit of time. It may be only a few paragraphs in the actual story, but there's again unfinished tales. There's different things that like are really revered and respected by Tolkien fans that I think is probably what they're thinking. Like I'm trying to actually think, is it a cash grab? Is that what are they just trying to say? Where can we expand this story? Where can we what can we do? And maybe they are, right? A part of that is like, hey, we probably only have these actors left for this amount of time. I hope it's sort of a rebuttal to Rings of Power. I kind of hope it is a little bit of a like I jokingly said when we went and saw the War of the Rohirrim, I was like, canon story.
Yes.
So sorry, that canon, air quote canon story is better to me than Rings of Power. I like stuff that sort of aligns that when I go look it up, I'm like, okay, that sort of checks out, right?
There's enough real stuff in there. Yeah.
Yeah, at least with some story. So I think what people are missing is that they're calling this, the movie title is like The Hunt for Gollum, right? Correct about that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So it's not just so the hunt for Gollum, and from what I've read in the unfinished tales here, it happens in the chapter, the third part covering the Third Age, where it's the hunt for the ring.
Yeah.
And in that, what I'm hoping is that they're thinking about this in a much broader way to really make an actual cool story about like a almost like a prequel, not a prequel. Sorry, just a. What'd you call it? Yeah.
Yeah, it almost feels like a prequel because it's in between. It's in that gap. It's like a filler, a gap filler. Yeah.
It's a filler, right? So it's filling out this time period where they were seeking Gollum, and where the Black Riders were also on the move. We pick up with them in the movies, at least, right?
Yeah.
When they're entering the Shire.
Yeah.
Where were they before that whole time? And so as I think about the hunt for Gollum, like the last thing that he does is go into Moria. So the last place that he will go is Moria. He's all over the board. And you've got people like Aragorn, Gandalf, you've even got Thranduil involved in all of this. You've got a lot of different people searching for him. So it makes sense there's the hunt for Gollum, and simultaneously there's a hunt for the ring happening with the Black Riders. So I think you can make a total drama out of that. And you can actually, now that I think about it more, Gollum can be the feature character, and you can have him on the run and us almost feeling sorry for him. And so the premise is the Black Riders are trying to find him, but they're also trying to find the ring. And so the wise, the men of the West, they're trying to find Gollum, which they think will lead them to the ring. They're not even quite sure, if that's what they're looking for. So I keep hoping that there is. I was just sort of dumbfounded because I thought, I hope people know there is a little bit more to this than just a quick reference at the Council of Elrond.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You laid that out perfectly, and you've pitched the two ways that I hope it happens, but I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not optimistic.
They're probably not going to do it. Yeah.
Be done that way, and I don't know. Part of me, again, I think what would work next for them, and what I'm afraid like we'll never get to see their, like as a filmmaking group and production company, like their potential unleashed again is on something brand new, is on something from a different age. Yeah. And like my fear is they're just going to stay in this little Lord of the Rings Hobbit bubble, and like this is just another aspect of that. Like they're just, again, we're going to, because like I don't doubt Andy Serkis, his performance or his directing. Like I don't, that's not what I'm doubting. I don't even doubt, of course not, Philippa Boyens and Fran Walsh and Peter Jackson, their involvement at all. I don't. There are a lot of people who are like, oh, they're going to make this woke garbage, and if Philippa Boyens is in charge, she's going to push her own agenda. That's not what happens. That's not what she does. I don't care what anyone says. She doesn't. And they don't. Like Peter Jackson has talked about that. He's like, we don't want to put our own stuff in Tolkien's stories. And even with The Hobbit, they didn't put their own stuff in there. They made changes, like the whole love story between
Tauriel
and Gimrod, the other what's his face?
Killy.
Yeah. Killy, thank you.
Yep.
But again, that's not their own stuff. That's just creating a love story, right? It's to mimic like the whole forbidden love thing, whatever. So I don't doubt that. I don't doubt the production quality, visual aspects, like what is involvement. Right. There's something about it where I just think all these choices, all these different things you can do, and this is what we land on. And it's even more weird because like the War of the Rohirrim, we've learned after the fact, that was mostly done so that they could say, you were talking about, right, that they could have something in production so they could retain the license and the rights.
Yeah.
So you use War of the Rohirrim to buy time, and for it being like a time buyer, I thought it was great.
I know.
I thought it was great. Yeah. I've even rewatched it at home, actually.
Me too. It's good.
Which is more than I can say for Rings of Power. And so, but I think to myself, if you're buying time, this is what you're buying time for. It just seems so odd to me. I can think of a million. I mean, obviously, the thing I would love more than anything is a Hobbit television show. I think I've talked about it a million times. But then something totally different, to just go to the first age or the second age and to see their, because God, we get glimpses of it in that prologue in the Fellowship of the Ring, and I think, no, just go back there and nestle in. Let's see more of Sauron. Even, something like that would be great. Like the creation of the rings. Let's go all the way back and let's see how you guys would visualize Morgoth. Let's see how you would do Beren and Luthien. Like that would be a great one. That would be amazing for you to bring to life. Or like we've talked about, the most adaptable story is the Children of Húrin. You could literally lift it from the pages, ask AI to turn it into a script, and it's ready to go. Yeah. Like say, make this in a script form. Okay, perfect. And like do that. And then you could introduce brand new characters, but that ones that are tied to, they're the ancient ancestors of some of these characters we have in the trilogy, but something brand new and fresh and free from like some of those. That's my fear is they're going to have constraints and expectations that are too closely tied to what we've already seen. And I think that was honestly part of what hindered The Hobbit is there was a lot of like matching that was tried to be done, like whether it was in tone or pace or even number of films. Like it became we've got to recreate what we did here instead of let's take our vision and let's move it to a totally disconnected place and be able to be free again. And maybe it's not even possible as it might have just literally been lightning in the bottle, and it might be kind of like a Star Wars curse thing where it's it's going to take a lot of iterations before you strike gold again. I don't know.
Hold your horses here. All right, hold your Black Riders.
Whoa, baby.
Because I think a couple things here. I got a lot of thoughts, so let me get them out here. Yeah. First of all, like if Rings of Power has, so if Amazon and then the creators of Rings of Power have the rights to the books and the appendices, and they can go back and make Second Age based upon backstories for characters, you can make movies. If you have the rights to the movies and you have the same source material and they have the ability to go do that, then you should have the ability to make the backstory for Galadriel as well in a movie form of the Second Age. So I would love to see them do that as well. And I think what they're doing now is a starting point for that, hopefully retaining those rights with the War of the Rohirrim and then moving into this hunt for Gollum. I think it's a stepping stone back. It's a filler, and I hope they're stepping back to other stories because you even have sort of the emergence of Rohan, right? And the gifting of that land from Gondor to Rohan and them riding in their first ride to aid them. Like, you could go back and do, like you just said, tell a whole new story there. The other thing, you were talking about tie-in, and how do they tie, like, in tone? Are they going to be constrained in terms of, like, tone and pacing and, like, costuming, whatever, all the different constraints that they might have, or putting themselves in a box? It made me think that when in tie-in and trying to, like, how would you craft something that's going to lead us back into a moment where it's like you watch maybe the first 15 minutes of Fellowship, and then you press stop, and you go watch this movie, and how do you tie back in to press play again? And I think at the end of The Hunt for Gollum, it ends with the Black Riders, like a shot for shot, coming back into the Shire.
The Shire.
It's just like, like they're coming all the way in. We've sort of left.
Would be amazing.
Yeah, and again, people are like, wait, that's not the hunt for Gollum. But I'm like, again, it's the hunt for the ring. It's if you want the story for, like, the extra stuff that Peter Jackson and those guys might be using and trying to dip into. I mean, if they were doing all the stuff in The Hobbit where they went to Dol Guldur, that's not in the
all
Hobbit
the extra stuff. No,
book.
It's all from the appendices.
Exactly. And so all those extra things, I think, I do kind of wonder maybe what they have the rights to, if they can use some of that stuff, or take some sort of, like, some sort of, what do you call it? Creative, liberties.
Yeah.
My God, I mean, if Rings of Power can do what they've done and have Celebrimbor and Isildur alive at the same daggone time, then you sure as heck can have some. You can go dip into the unfinished tales, and I don't think the Tolkien estate is going to absolutely go crazy. Why? Because the Tolkien estate has been essentially, like, look at the money. Look at the money that they have got from the success. By the way, Rings of Power is only successful and only there, and they're trying to pay tribute in these little ways inside of their TV show to Peter Jackson. They're literally. You see them trying to mimic what he's doing. So
Mimicry.
that only exists, and that money and that cash that went to them only exists because PJ went and did what he did in the trilogy, right?
That's true.
So
That's true.
that they know that that's the case. So if PJ says, I want to go in here and do something, we're going to call it The Hunt for Gollum. He's our feature character. We're going to move some things around just a little bit to make this work. But I have some major characters I want to bring in terms of this hunt, right? I'm gonna send Glorfindel out like nobody's sent him out before.
Oh my
and
God.
there's one place Glorfindel won't go, and that's Moria, to face another Balrog. He knows. Gollum knows. And he goes there and he hides. And so the Black Riders won't go there. So that hunt for Gollum ends. And then the next shot is them sort of, waltzing into the Shire and getting that information from Isengard and moving on. Now, one of the things I worry about, like what you've worried about, is the setup to this. And does it open with some sort of prologue? Does it open with the Council of Elrond? And if it does, you've already heard from Hugo Weaving, he's not coming back.
He's out. Yeah, he's out.
He said, "I'd never come."
Pretty massive piece. Yep.
Never come back. So you can't do that Council of Elrond scene that I sort of envisioned them starting with and fading back. And even if you recast Aragorn and you start with Vigo there at the council. And maybe you do only start with him and you show the chairs and you don't need to do Elrond, maybe. But I mean, I know,
that'd be rough. That'd be a hard sell though, wouldn't it?
That's hard.
He's the facilitator of that entire scene.
His council. It's his council. So I would want to see Elrond there, and I'd want to even see Merry and Pippin in the backs, in the weeds.
Spying.
That point of view coming over them, right? Spying on the council and it being them, and or them right before they run up to the council. There's a lot of actors still around that are active, seem to be like they would gladly show up for Andy and do this, I think. And so even Hugo is one of those guys who Liam Neeson said he would never show back up as Qui-Gon Jinn. And he said, he lied to everybody. He said, not showing up. And sure enough, he's there. Yeah, whether it's money or whatever it is, he does it for a friend. So in that situation, Ewan McGregor coming back as Obi-Wan, all right, I'll do it for him. Yeah. I don't really think it works, but I'm going to do it because my friend's in the show and I'm going to do it. So whether Hugo's doing that or they're paying him or whatever, or it's just for the fandom, if it's a really good script and a really good show, go do it and show us it's not a cash grab. Show us it's more than, and I think it is. I've not yet to say it, but I think it is more than that, because there is a shift kind of going on in our culture and the day and age that we lived in, where people are not, these things are not, we had a gift in the 90s and the early 2000s of great movies, great series, and even going back to Star Wars being one of those trilogies, Lord of the Rings, and the Harry Potter films, different things, like really cool things in the sci-fi fantasy realm that went really well. And Marvel seems to be the last thing that's really sort of kicked off and been really great, that people have been like, this is cool and unique and interesting. Everything else seems to suck. And it seems to be full of politics, and it seems to be full of things that are like messaging that we're wise to, and we're sort of like, guys, I mean, you just can put every message you want in there, but if the story sucks, and if it really doesn't get us excited and inspired to go, we're not going to buy your message. And like, we've been buying, they forget, we've been buying your progressive message since 1977 with Star Wars. So we are buying that message, but it's like, we're already there. You don't need to sell us on that. You just need to tell us a good story. We're going to be entertained, inspired.
Don't make the message the story. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah. I will say one thing. It gives me a lot of peace knowing how long it's taken to make the script.
True. Yes.
That has given me a lot of like pause to call it a cash grab fully, or to even kind of have to embrace any of the doubts I have, where I'm like, oh, okay, they're taking a long. I mean, they announced this I feel like a couple years ago, maybe a year ago. Yeah. In reality, but they are. I think like in the end, their announcement a few months ago was at the end of May we're going to have a script done. So that to me means they're taking their time with it. They're trying to actually craft something. Yeah, right, yeah. Oh my God, I thought it was June. You're right. Yeah, that is like tomorrow. So that's what we thought it was going to be something else, like, you know, Viggo Mortensen's back, he's on, or Ian McKellen's going to be Gandalf, but it was literally, hey guys, the script's going to be finished.
I think that's a good sign too, that the script is taking a little bit longer and that they're taking the time, because so often I feel like projects get rushed forward, they get announced, and then they fall through, and you're like, what the heck's going on? You know, like I don't know. Maybe it's hard to keep it under wraps that you have this idea and Andy's coming forward to do stuff or whatever. I know it takes a long time for those things to develop, but I'm glad that they did push it back, because originally I think we're now in like December 2027 when is the release date, and it was like we're thinking 26, and people are like, oh my God, it's next year. Like,
I know. I think originally it was announced for like this December. Like when it was first announced, I think it was December 2025, and then it got pushed back a couple times. And again, like if they're taking longer in the script, that makes me think, okay, are they really working on incorporating some of these things that Ez has talked about, some of the broader, you know, the hunt for the ring, not just the hunt for Gollum, bringing the Rangers in, bringing Glorfindel in, like connecting new characters to this universe? That would be really cool. Are they going to make it? I just want it to be complex. I want it to be complex, and I want it to not feel, if it's too much Gollum, I'm going to be out. Like, I just don't. I know. He's pitiable, and I love him as a character, but too much of him, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I know just can't do it. That's exhausting.
That's the thing. So you that's why you can't have too much Darth Vader. You can't have too much Sauron. You can't.
They lose their
even
pop.
Though Gollum's not like a true enemy or whatever. It's just or a villain. It's still just, you can overdo it, you know, and to make him the feature main character, it does sort of make me.
Yeah, he wears me out. Like because of his torment, I'm just like, oh my God, I feel exhausted. And he reminds me that, like, how much we as individuals are like Gollum. He's almost too realistic that way. I'm like, God, yeah, I know. There's struggles. There's temptations. Can we? I want to escape. Can we not think about this for a minute? Like, I don't know.
So, dude, get this. Like, I wrote like a little short that I'm gonna do later on my Flannel Wizard channel, and essentially, I said, like, you know, did you know that Warner Brothers is making a brand new Lord of the Rings movie? It's The Hunt for Gollum, right? The story would follow Aragorn's secret mission, ordered by Gandalf, tracking down Gollum, blah blah. After Bilbo, his strange tale about finding the ring. So obviously, Sauron and his dark forces will also be involved. They actually captured and tortured information out of Gollum, but then they released him in the hopes that he might lead them to the ring itself. There are a lot of different characters that could make an appearance in this film, like, and you're ready for this, here we go, all the characters that could make an appearance. Tauriel could make an appearance.
Yeah,
they're in that realm.
That. Yes,
right?
Yep, that's true.
King Thranduil, boom, right there.
Yep, boom.
Glorfindel, sent out from Elrond. Radagast is in the same daggone region as like Dol Guldur and all of the where they capture him. You have the sons of Elrond, right? They could make an appearance. Legolas, Arwen, Denethor, Boromir, Faramir, and obviously Aragorn, Gandalf, Gollum, Sauron, and the Black Riders. And so you do have a lot
Legolas?
here.
Could Legolas be available?
Yeah, I mean, yes,
Yeah,
Legolas could be available for sure. I mean, again, he like they'll split like when Aragorn sort of hightails it back to kind of like catch up with Frodo and everybody and intercede there. He'll leave Legolas, but Legolas could have been involved for sure.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, you could definitely bring back a lot of these cool characters into this, and it's a kind of a big reunion, and it might be the last time that a lot of them are alive, or around.
Yeah,
Some of them are older, and you think about how the Hobbit sort of passed the torch, right, between our two beloved Bilbo actors.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they're going to do that with an Aragorn and Gandalf. Maybe they do know that there's more stories to tell, and they might want to do that. I don't know. I think it would be interesting if they tried it, because we definitely accepted a younger Bilbo, straight up.
Yeah, we
were
did.
like, absolutely.
And he's perfect. I mean, he's perfect.
He's perfect.
Dude, I've even thought of, this is totally random and off the board, but Martin Short, I feel like would be a perfect Bilbo between Martin Freeman and Ian Holm.
That's interesting.
Like every time I see Martin Short, I'm like, God, he was made to play Bilbo. Like he would be unreal as Bilbo.
Right.
Kind of that in between. Yeah. When he had the ring, but wasn't quite ready for it to yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. I had something I totally it's in true to form.
Oh, I got more. So I mean, it's to me, when it comes to you, jump in, because I just we're always optimistic, and we are very optimistic about this. I think we're more guarded now because of Rings of Power. To be honest with you,
Yeah, for sure.
Like we were
It's not
so
even The Hobbit,
optimistic.
it's Rings of Power. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like The Hobbit still for me, and I think a lot of fans, like, it did well enough, and it actually has grown over time. I think people look back at that and they go, "All right, actually not bad," especially when you have something to compare it to with what's going on with Rings of Power. I think Rings of Power has, for this fandom, unfortunately, it's given us a little hesitation in terms of like excitement for new TV or film products that are based around Tolkien stuff. I mean, it's sort of had such a big budget. It's such a in my mind. I hate to say this to them, but it's a blunder. It's a huge fumble.
Huge.
To have characters who are literally 1,700 years apart in age be alive at the same time and just say accept it, and so I think it's an insult on in my opinion, and people say there's no other way they could have done it, and that's so cheap. That's such a weak excuse. And so again, you and I kind of talk about this hunt for Gollum. I'm like, I've pitched 2 to 3 different ways where in which I think you could start this and do it. Do you have the right characters? Do you have everybody that you need? And there's a lot more logistics to it. It's easy for us to sit around a table and just pitch ideas and say stuff. I know there's a lot of different logistics to these things, but anyway,
your ideas are really, really good, man. And that's the problem now. Is I have fallen in love with your concepts for this, and I just hope that they've had the same idea or something similar. And I'm going to trust that they have. You know what I mean? I don't know. But they're really good. Like the way that you've thought about breaking back into the stories, but also making them different. It would be okay. So another one of originally it was 2 films, right? They said The Hunt for Gollum is going to be 2 films, and they kind of refined that a few months after, where they said, well, it's 2 films. The first one is The Hunt for Gollum, and the second one is going to be something different. And they've kind of gone back and forth on what that something different is going to be. And one of the things where I'm like, oh my God, let's not do like a 25 year later Marvel thing. They're like, we kind of want to do, we've toyed around with the idea of standalone films, like a Gandalf movie. And I'm like, again, why is number one. And number 2 is, unless you're setting up a new Gandalf in this Hunt for Gollum, how? Right?
How?
And in that at that time, it wasn't like, oh yeah, we're gonna recast Ian McKellen and we're gonna do some trickery and that way we can have Gandalf, for 30 more years or whatever. It was literally just, Ian McKellen's always our number 1 choice, and Hunt for Gollum, and then maybe a Gandalf movie or an Aragorn movie. And I'm just like, again, it's so like we're limiting our view when I wish they would kind of, and maybe this is all ringer stuff. Like maybe that's Hunt for Gollum is legit, but maybe they'll branch into something totally different. I don't know. It's confusing to me.
You know what's crazy is that I think this is, to use Ian McKellen, this is probably the only way I can think of to use him. And so again, if they can think of something more genius and a bit of lore that I don't know, or something that's going to be really cool that fits and is not just make believe. We don't want make believe stuff. We want to, we want there to be some sort of influence, even if it's just a few lines that gets us there, but it's still legit and works. Because we've even said, like with Rings of Power, I was down for some liberties to be taken. I knew they would have to be cool with that. So we're fine with that. But just have this, make sure that it all fits and works inside of this.
Rings of Power, there weren't any liberties that weren't taken. Like
right.
All the liberties were taken.
They're all taken.
Yeah.
So, but I think for Ian, this is this is his chance to be. This is a good way, actually. It's probably the only best way I can think of to bring Gandalf back and do something kind of cool and extend that story and do more. The only other way I could think to do it would be like if you wanted to do something with like the War of the Last Alliance, right, or something like in he would be after that. He would be someone who comes in. They like you have a whole movie where which you like cover the war and you start back in sort of end of the Second Age and you talk about those alliances in Elendil and Isildur. You do it right. You just do a full freaking big old war and go crazy with it. I mean, Thranduil's father's killed in that. Like there's stuff that you could do that's wild. And it ends with them thinking it's over, and there's like 3 years where Isildur has the ring and stuff, and then a messenger comes. You think he's gone, you think that Sauron is done and dealt with, but at the very within 3 years of the Third Age starting, Gandalf shows up with Radagast and Saruman. Why are they here? Círdan is kind of like, it's not over. It's sort of that. It's a very epilogue kind of thing where you bring him in and say, there's still something to be watched for. He's not wholly destroyed. And maybe Gandalf is even in Rivendell at one point, and as we know from the reading of the Unfinished Tales here, you have on the Gladden Fields, you have a situation where Isildur is on his way to return that daggone ring because he knows it needs to be sent. His son gives up his life so that way he can try and get to Rivendell. He wants to try and get there. He was headed back to his northern kingdom, Arnor, and he wanted to take it there, and along the way seek counsel with the wise. And I can imagine Gandalf and those guys sitting there, maybe contemplating how to destroy it, but it never gets there. There are ways you can do that sort of stuff, and go at it. Like if they want to keep doing stories, there are stories at the start of the Third Age. There is tons of stuff. You have a whole Hobbit Archer situation. You've got the Witch King still out there doing stuff. I mean,
the Witch King. Yep.
You can go crazy with it, and I would love it.
I know. Yeah, my hope is that they surprise us, and I
same.
Because again, you're right. It Rings of Power really has. I think it showed that not everything is a home run, and again, we weren't alive for the animated films, but even though those were kind of like in through a modern lens, they're kind of cheesy and hokey and everything. I think at the time people really liked them. They enjoyed them.
I remember watching them as a kid. They were
and they were done by people who again liked the stories. And then you learn about like how big of an influence they were on some of Peter Jackson's like scenes. Like there are side by side comparisons of Bakshi's Lord of the Rings and Fellowship of the Ring, and it's like, whoa, those are the same exact. Like,
that's crazy.
Shot composition. It's nuts. And but anyway, I think it really has made it kind of like there's a little more worry and a little less trust with anybody, even with them, because we think, what's the motivation, and then like what are you gonna do with the opportunity to make more Tolkien? So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Right? We'll see, friends. Yeah. Just a quick one. I wanted to come on here and just ask the question everyone's thinking and people are pondering online, which is it a cash grab? I don't necessarily think so, but it could be, and I really hope it's not. And they will have to prove us wrong. Everyone wrong.
Yeah.
So
and let me refine mine too.
I know.
Hope it's not I hope it's not a cash grab, but I could see it being. I know. Or maybe not even a cash grab, but maybe just like almost like a pride thing. Like, these guys messed up Middle Earth. Let's show you how it's really done. And I think if that's the way they're coming at it, Because again, it does kind of feel like it's just a giant troll, especially when you learned about all that stuff that Payne and McKay said about like Gollum's our favorite. We would love to focus on just him. If we could have Andy Serkis, we'd love to work with him. And it's like literally they're doing everything that those dorks said they wish they could do.
There's so many weird things, and we'll still wrap up here. But like, there's so many weird things where Peter Jackson, they ghosted him or he ghosted them,
right,
whatever
dude.
the situation is. I mean, they said that there was notes from Bezos that they never saw. Like, dude, what are you talking about?
That is the documentary we'll never get that I would
get that.
Die to see. I would love to know the inner workings of this behind the scenes for this show. Like when they made decisions based on Christopher Tolkien passing away and it becoming Simon Tolkien's deal. Like what was the actual deal with consulting? And then the weird thing that no one ever talks about, Weta did all the stuff for season 1 at least. I think season 2 as well. So all that stuff that people was, all the armor and craftsmanship that people were criticizing, like Weta had a hand in it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why wasn't that promoted? I remember like seeing it on Weta's social media. They're like, hey, Rings of Power designs, here they are. And they never posted like, hey, we've collaborated with Weta. I think that's really odd.
Yeah.
Even like remember the ring maker? Well, I have one of the rings. The ring maker who made the rings for the show. I don't remember them ever promoting that company. It was the company that was saying, hey, we made rings for Rings of Power. It's just like this weird, a fumble. A fumble, you've said it before. That is the best way to describe everything that happened with that. And it just makes us
cautious because we were the most optimistic going into that. We were willing to give it every fair shake we could. And I remember going into it saying, I can't wait to go look at the lore and see how this ties in. I cannot wait to find those Easter eggs. I cannot wait to. And the more I dug, the more I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This is wild. Like, this is wildly inaccurate and mischaracterization across the board, character assassinations. And so that's our own opinion, by the way. I think I love people who want to come out, and I always say it. I always want people to feel comfortable sharing your positive opinions. And I'm still going to watch it. We're still going to cover it. We're still going to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for us, it's just literally I don't know what else could go wrong or right. I have no clue. And again, like there's 1 or 2 sick scenes where we're like, dude, that Durin scene at the end is freaking sick. Like
it is,
where was that awesome all along the way? Like where is that kind of stuff all along the way? So
even some of that early Harfoot stuff, I kind of dug. Like some of that introductory, like Harfoot stuff, I really liked. And if they hadn't made the Stranger Gandalf, it would have been kind of interesting.
Oh, Blue Wizards, dude! By the way, are you telling me that that's Saruman and Gandalf? That's what they're saying.
Right.
That's Saruman. Stop it. Stop it. Right. Like Lottie looked at me the other day and she said, and I know there's like 1 or 2 lines where it's like that references Gandalf walking his spirit or something being in Middle Earth earlier than he was or whatever. Blah 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 blah. But she was just like, so wait, like when Gandalf does show up, he does know what his mission is? 100%. Yeah. 100%. We're going to cover it in summer school this summer. Yeah. Like in Unfinished Tales. So that 100%. Like he shows up, they have a mission, they have a journey, they get there, Círdan knows what's up. Círdan hands him the ring, says, here you go.
I thought it was Tom Bombadil. It wasn't Tom Bombadil and a bunch of Harfoots that helped him.
Yeah, so crazy. So crazy. So anyways, enough of it's enough. I will say, like, you think like cash grabs and sort of attention grabbers that then don't pay off or don't make sense and that felt unnecessary, but they felt like they're attention grabbing, were Tom Bombadil and making this character Gandalf and doing things that don't fit. I mean, Tom Bombadil I actually would even give a pass for. I would actually even say put him in there with the Blue Wizards. But the fact that it's Gandalf makes me mad. That's the thing. It's just like, that shouldn't be Gandalf. Sorry. Anyways, all right, I'm done.
Pretty stupid too. Yeah.
Wasn't gonna go into Rings of Power craziness, but let me know what you guys think. Send us a DM. Like maybe we can ask the question. Just thoughts in general. We'll keep it positive. Just thoughts on Hunt for Gollum. Do you think it's a cash grab? Do you think cash gab?
Cash gab.
Late. Blah, blah, blah. Almost 1 o'clock in the morning.
I have terrible news.
What?
I didn't hit record that whole time.
Oh well.
I'm just joking. I'm teasing.
I was like, wow. Wait, you mean I was going to say like for both episodes? Holy smokes.
That's what I was saying.
Wow.
But I did.
Okay,
I was
good.
joking.
All right, cool.
I'm getting a little slap happy.
Now I'm about to end the episode because I'm worried that we're gonna it's not gonna save.
It's gonna not save. Can you?
Yeah,
we haven't recorded 3.5 hours in a long time.
I know. I had to make sure.
How do we end this? What was this episode?
Oh hey, this
was
this episode
a sniff breeze.
It was just sniff breeze.
A moment of sniffing.
A moment of sniffing. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time, and don't forget the sniffing.
Chimney Chekwa. You know what time it is.
Oh.